property, but at the same time, they could have lost life.
Exactly.
So,
17 people have been killed so far by these mudslides, so at least you have to look at
that may be the first time, too, that I've ever actually seen video of the slide actually happening. So often you see just the aftermath. That is just, it really is. Well, I'm so glad that everybody's okay. But let's take a look at the storm system that's going to be affecting our area in the days ahead. It's still taking shape. It is primarily going to be a rain producer and a very drenching rain producer at that. But you see the snow and the ice on the backside of this. The cold will come rushing in the wake of this. So parts of the Poconos could finish the storm with a little bit of icing. But the key here, at least for Philly, is drenching rain and the possibility, especially for the smaller streams and creeks, of flash flooding. So we'll take you all the way to 6 p.m. By this point, things are still quiet. It's really not until later on tonight that we start to see the rain building in. But look, this is a forecast model, granted, but look at the expectation. There will be places where you easily pick up over an inch, heck, over 2 inches, maybe up to 3 in some instances here. So especially if this pans out and you end up with over 2.5 inches down near the shore points, that's where you had the most snow from that last storm. So there could easily be some flash flooding that goes on because of it. There's a general idea, though. You're talking about temperatures in the 50s and 60s tomorrow, so the snow will continue to melt. I say get rid of the most we can here today so it doesn't make the problem even worse tomorrow. But your flash flood risk is most prone in the smaller streams, the smaller creeks, the ones that tend to come out of their banks, like the Christiana, for example, or the Christina River, rather, down in Delaware. That one always seems to come up for some reason, but there are a lot of other ones. So keep that in mind. But we take a look forward here. You're in the mid-60s by tomorrow. Very, very warm day, but the rain comes along with it. Keep your umbrella at the ready. Temperatures really plummet on Saturday. That early morning high of 57. It won't last long. We're probably at best at about 40 for the Eagles kick.
Floating down the Delaware here too.
Kidding.
So
yeah, and I mean, now that we've had a little bit more of a thaw take place, we're starting to see the river actually look like it's flowing. It's not just appearing to look like a sheet of ice.
Like a river again, right?
Exactly. But with that comes its own set of problems, because even though we're thawing out, we've got snow that's got to melt away. That's going to drain away. Then you've got the ice that could, if the river gets shallower or tightens up enough, it could actually get jammed up as it's trying to melt away. So with all of those things comes this minor risk of some flooding. At the moment, there are no additional advisories or watches or warnings locally anyway. It's more of a concern in those spots we just mentioned, a little bit further to our north, but it's still something that with the kind of heavy rain that's coming through, we'll need to keep a close watch on. Let's take you outside, though, and take a really nice wide view. It's a somewhat of a dreary day, I'll give you that. But if you've stepped outside, you know how nice and comfortable it is right now. We do have a system that's starting to get its act together, but even the sun trying to break through that cloud deck right now. We don't have any wet weather in the forecast until at least later on tonight, so it should be smooth sailing in terms of the weather anyway for the typical evening commute to go here, go along with the rest of the day as well. Looking at storm scan, though, this very wide zoom, we've got a storm that's starting to get its act together. At the moment, it looks like kind of just a huge mishmash of different rounds of precipitation. What you'll notice, though, is that the lines of rain are starting to move from south to north. That's that southerly push that's bringing in that very warm air. Very cold on the back side of the storm that's developing, too. So you've got snow breaking out that way. And also, when I show you the temperatures, my goodness, is it cold in the wake of this. Here's the current snow cover. It really is melting nicely, even since yesterday. Most of Newcastle County is in the clear at this point. As I mentioned earlier, there's not one leftover mound on our CBS3 sky deck, so that's good. But you do still have some of it out here, especially in the places that got hit hardest with that last snowstorm. You still have upwards of 3 to 6 inches on the ground in parts of Ocean and Monmouth County. Now, forecasted rain amounts on top of that continued snow melt, that's where the potential for problems lie. So, you know, I think more than anything, this will end up being a big fat nuisance of a storm system. But one thing that's great about this is that it's going to help wash off our cars that are covered in salt and all the other mess from the roads as of late. But you do end up with at least an inch across the region as a whole. And some of the model indications are that we're going to pick up more than that. So this is one computer model's indication of how much we'll see. The general idea, though, is that it's about a 1 to 3 inch swath of rain that moves in. So I'm going to start you all the way at 11 p.m. tonight. By this point, Kate's going to have something to track on Storm Scan 3. Make sure you check in with her, see if there's any changes to this forecast. But as it currently stands, I think you're for the most part going to end up seeing rounds of rain come through with brief breaks along the way anytime tomorrow. So we're all back on the air dark and early at 6 a.m. I'll have something to track too. And then into the late morning, early afternoon, there's more to track. And if this rain continues to come in over the I-95 corridor, that is a very sluggish afternoon commute right there. And you'll have to deal with ponding and such, even if the rain's not falling from the sky anytime the rest of the day. This is heavy rain. 4 p.m. Notice it's still here. Even later in the evening, 6 p.m., 7, 8, 9. You know, it continues on here as late as early Saturday. So it's around for a while, and that means that, again, there could be enough to exacerbate some flooding with the snowmelt that'll continue. So let's jump it ahead here. I'm starting to get the wrap already, but I did want to show you the temperatures. 48 is the current temperature in Philly, but take a look at how cold it is in the wake of this. 10 right now in Minneapolis, so you really know where that front is starting to push through here. But as we take a look at our 7-day, yeah, I mean, Saturday may look warm at face value, but we're going to hit that value of 57 probably around midnight, and then it only just gets colder and colder as the day goes on, but at least it dries out.
So it's just a taste of spring. It's like as soon as we, get
don't get used to it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Sure.